Before I get started, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodian of the land on which we meet today, and I pay my respect to their elders past, present, and emerging, and extend the respect to all the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. Let me hit the share button as well. Wonderful. Alrighty. So again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Future Needs More Than AI session. And in my view, AI is obviously changing how we work, how we analyze information, and how we make decisions. But today, we don't want to spend the next 45 minutes talking about AI tools or asking whether AI is going to replace us. Instead, I have a different question. When everyone has access to the same technology, what is actually going to set us apart? And that's what we are going to talk about. And we have great, amazing panelists with us today. So that's Shane and Jamie. We meant to have Terry as well, but he has a personal commitment. So I'll make sure that he will feel missed about today's session. But you will not be missing him if you are coming to our Festival of Business Analysis, because he will be presenting in Sydney and Adelaide as well. So without further ado, we are going to explore, and we have a structure today, and the topics, the questions that we are going to talk about is in the theme around skills, judgment, and identity. In terms of the skills, it's all about what capabilities are really going to matter in the future. Judgment is all about when AI can have answers within a second, how do great professionals still make better decisions? And the last one, identity, and I think that's one of the personal favorite for me. Who do we need to become, not just what to do when we need to do something? And also my favorite thing, and that's what I have tried to do with this one today, I have tried to align the panel discussion theme with our Festival of Business Analysis theme. So as most of you might know, our 4-bar theme is adapt, align, and accelerate. And I could directly link that with our theme today on skills, judgment, and identity. And when we talk about adapt, it's all about our skills as the world around us changes. And align is about our judgment to what actually matters and that creates value, and accelerating our own growth and the impact we can have as professionals. And also, if you see our 4-bar program, you would know Shane and Jamie both would be presenting in our 4-bar this October. And today you might be able to get a glimpse of what they are going to talk about in those conversations as well. But before I move into the core of our panel discussion today, I want to remind all of you about our Festival of Business Analysis. And that's my favorite thing to talk about throughout the year. We are having our Festival of Business Analysis in October. And it's not just in Australia, but we are also having it online. If you need more details, we have a...
And in New Zealand.
And New Zealand, exactly, of course. And for all the details, you can scan your QR code here, and we will have a website, and you will have all the programs, the details about our speakers, and also the important part, you can get your tickets. And when I move to the next slide real quick, that will...
You've stopped sharing. Do you want to reshare?
Thank you. Here you go. Can you see my screen again? Wonderful, thank you. So we will have our online session from 12th to 14th of October. And why it's very important is if you can't make it in person, if you are not in Australia or New Zealand, it's a great way to join the community and hear about what we want to share. And also the important thing, Jamie is not in Australia or New Zealand. So, it's a great opportunity to engage with speakers from US and Europe to share their thoughts as well. But on that note, Jamie, we are looking forward to have you in person one day. So that's our online session. And following that, the week after, we have our in-person session. So the 19th, that's the Monday, we will start our program, Perth and Wellington, and then Adelaide, Auckland, Melbourne, Brisbane, and our final flagship event this year is in Sydney. So I'm so much looking forward to seeing you guys. And again, if you haven't purchased the ticket, please do so. We have finished our early bird. unfortunately. But however, if you have 9 people in your team, you can purchase a group ticket and you will get one free. And if you have any more questions about FOBA tickets, program, anything, you can reach out to us, and all the details are on the website, and we can go from there. But anyhow, let me stop sharing and let's get into our panel discussion. And I've been looking forward for this for a very long time. But however, before we deep dive, I think it's our best chance to introduce our panelists and by themselves. So Shane, can I start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what keeps you busy these days.
Kia ora tata. Thank you, Abby. Welcome, folks. I'm Shane, based in New Zealand, a little town called Otaki. I've been doing business analysis in various forms for over 4 decades now. In that time, I have made pretty much every mistake possible, but I'm sure there are more mistakes I can still find. A lot of my time today is spent working and looking at how do we use these generative AI tools to be more effective in our roles. What I consistently see is they make us fast. But just because we're fast, are we going in the right direction with that fast? And that was my talk from FOBA last year. FOBA this year, I want to widen that and bring it. What's gonna happen in the to our roles, to our identity as business analysis professionals? And the themes of this webinar, skills, judgment, identity, going to be really pertinent to the future of our profession, the future of our work, and yeah, really going to underpin a lot of what's going to come through in the FOBA conversations.
I'm very excited, Shane, and I think like we've been having very similar conversation for almost an year, and I'm very, very excited. And the good thing, Shane, like you're going to meet most of the people, not just in 1 or 2 city, like almost every city that we are having FOBA, which is pretty exciting. Like I don't want to look at your calendar on how your travel itinerary looks like, but this is not your first time. You have been doing this for years, so I'm very thrilled to see you in person this year as well. So thank you for all the support, and I can't wait to explore more with you. Thank you. And Jamie, hello, and all the way from a other side of the world. How are you going? And if you can give a little bit intro about yourself and also tell me a little bit about the work you're doing at the moment.
Sure. So, aloha, everyone. Yes, we're really just crossed the date line, though. Like, this whole date and time things, we're in the same pond. And it really is a small world after all. That's why I love seeing the names and people in chat here and being able to connect with you more, that it really is very small. And I love the connecting. Like Shane, I started doing this when I was 2 and, just asking good questions. So don't worry about that. Like we all started asking why, we got ourselves in a little trouble with, why, that there's great hope for your children and your nieces and nephews and grandkids, if they start doing that. There's roles called business analyst, So I really got in. I have a technical background, but I really wanted to go, why were people using the tech? And, like you say, what was it for? And really, I did play that role of the bridge, but I did it a lot in training, and helping people utilize their technology. And so that's where I'm spending a lot of time today. And it's interesting because the AI popping into our world here, it's really maximizing the value of technology is the focus I have. So I still do training on specific technologies, but we often talk about that it's not the technology. It's often a people and a process challenge. And so, understanding what is the work you're trying to do, how are you doing it? I'll be to the part where I'm spending a lot with teams, and it's what are those soft skills? We used to call them soft skills, but they're now really the hard skills we need to have that help us utilize the technology. So, working in hybrid environments across time zones, those are very common things now. We made virtual working a way of working. It's not an option to work remotely. It's just a fact that that's what teams do. And, I'm still spending the time, my background, like even was in technology, and it's grown more in the people side and the process. It's that engagement. How many of you jump on a Teams meeting and everyone has their cameras off? They're totally there, but you're the only one with your camera on. And you're like, how do I get this exciting? So, here we are, worlds away, as some of us might be. I wanted to feel that we are part of that connective community, that, to the point of some of the questions in our chat, teams still get things done. And I think that's, a lot of the challenge that we have the AI and like how organizations are struggling because they're trying to figure out how would they get teams to work with it for business value. Whereas a lot of this initial inertia and exploratory work is all done on me. How do I make me better? And I can take a picture and fix things in my house and know what I eat for breakfast is so much faster on my smartphone. But what does that mean to business? And so the part here where you have technology, but how you use it, we're going to be talking about using it for data-driven decision-making is what I'm going to be speaking at FOBA. And, like you say, we have AI that can help us make sense of data, but even without the AI, what's the questions to ask? What's the process? How do I look at work so that we're making the right decisions? How do I know it's a good decision? Even if the data is true, how do I know it's true? And so, just really exploring those good questions. I think, Abby, that's the fun part where I get to be here with Shane and you get to ask the good questions. I
I'm the
really think
lucky
that's
one. Like I could ask all the good questions, and Jamie, I could feel the energy and the excitement and the passion from your introduction. Thank you so much. I'm very thrilled, and I mean, I feel like we already have the excitement and the energy, but you know what? I'm going to do something a little differently. And now that everyone knows who we are, and we are going to talk, and you guys have introduced what you do and who you are as well. But we are going to get a glimpse of how you guys think. And we are going to start with a quick activity of this or that round. So it's basically you just have to pick. So I'll have three questions for each of you, and you have to pick. No explanation required, no long answers. You just have to pick whether it's going to be this or that. And then later, and there's a little twist here, Jamie and Shane, like you guys listen carefully because once you have your answers, and at the end, you will get to pick each other's answer and something that made you curious and ask a question to each other about that. So I hope it's little interesting and it's little different to how we usually do the panel discussion. So Shane, like I'm going to start with you, and it's simple, and I know you, and I wouldn't promise you that it's not a tricky question, but I'm pretty confident that you can answer this. So I'll start with the easy one. So the two options you have: master one thing or keep reinventing yourself.
I've spent 40 plus years reinventing myself many times.
So reinventing yourself it is. Yeah. Wonderful. All right. So the more we go, the questions get a little trickier, Shane, for you. So when you think of Babok, is it a rule book or a toolbox?
It's a toolbox. Yeah, if I'm just going to answer that, it's a toolbox.
It's a toolbox. Thank you. Yeah. And this is my favorite one. Rock Crusher or hashtag no projects?
Ooh. Which child do I prefer?
For the ones who doesn't know,
Rock Crusher at the moment.
That Rock Crusher, is that what you answered? Oh, I kind of suspected that. So for those who doesn't know, Shane authored both of those books. And actually you can see that on the background as well, the Rock Crusher and the hashtag no projects. Yes. So yeah, sorry, I know it's a tricky one, but I couldn't resist asking. Thanks, Shane. Thank you so much. And Jamie, now it's your chance, but I'll promise you it's not as tough as Shane's question for you. I was a little
Come
kind.
on, these like challenges.
So for you, the first one, sticky notes or AI prompts?
Oh, sticky notes.
Okay, wonderful.
Not
And
a doubt.
when you think of AI, would you like to challenge it or trust it?
Challenge it. I think I got to go with that one still.
Thank you. The last one, adapt your skill or double down on your strengths.
Adapt your skill.
Wonderful. Thank you. So now it's both of your chance to ask one question to each other on the selection. So maybe we'll start with Shane. Shane, question for Jamie.
So, Jamie, how do you really effectively challenge the AI tooling today?
The challenge is two parts.
Mm.
One, I like it because it challenges me to try to figure out how do you not just leverage, but like you say, challenge it back. So just to your point, it makes me challenge. So I've been quoted as going, AI makes me a better BA, not because of what AI does for me, but what I have to do to work with AI. And so to me, it's how do I challenge myself to better push it for better outcomes? So garbage in, garbage out. So if I'm going to challenge it, I am challenging myself on how I'm going to approach it, leverage it, use it, maximize it. And, not be anyone else have 75 subscriptions now that they're trying to worry which one they're keeping up with and which one to cancel. Right?
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Jamie, now it's your turn to ask a question to Shane.
All right. So, with the continuous reinventing, what is the reinvention for, let's just be dangerous and we'll go 5 years from now, not even like 2 years.
5 years from now. 5 years from now, the tools that we're working with today, these generative AI tools, they're just going to be background. That's it. There's not going to be any, it will be embedded technology. And the reinvention is going to be bringing those human skills that you were talking about earlier, making them stand out, making them or allowing them to be more than just emergent. So that how do we learn to be really good critical thinkers? So you talking about challenging yourself. Well, how do we embed that in our education systems, in our organizations, and get the people that we're working with to really step into that space, because knowledge is going to be a free commodity. The tools will have it all. It's stepping into that deeper. What do we do with that knowledge?
Oh, I like it. What do we do with it?
Abby, we can't hear you.
Could you repeat that, Abby?
Follow-up question and very similar and like currently AI is... Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
It's
Still
caught up
no,
with
is it? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
little
Okay,
lag.
perfect.
The signal went a little bit weird.
Okay. Am I back and audible? Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Technology, while we're talking about it. So Shane, the follow-up question I have for you is, as we are talking about AI is getting better at giving recommendations and even telling us what decisions to be made. And then I'm sure all of us, most of us in this call would be using AI to either prompt decision, like, I see lots and lots of usage of AI. So where do you think the human judgment would be still a greatest advantage, even when AI is getting the responses in like in few seconds and then it's analyzing all the data? Where do you think as human we could be positioning our judgment?
Where do we position our judgment? It's in the questions we ask, and it's in the analysis of the answer. It's the critical thinking about because these tools really comfortably, confidently will answer me.
Mm.
And some of that answer is going to be good. Some of it is going to be slop.
Mm.
And how I have crafted my questions, which, by the way, is really good business analysis skill set, asking the right questions. So even more important, that ability to ask really good questions of the tooling, and then the assessment of what it has given me. Is this something that I would honestly put my name on?
Mm.
Because it's not good enough to turn around and say, well, yeah, I asked an AI tool, it gave me this answer. Well, I'm just going to pass it on. No, I have to take ownership and responsibility for the quality of that answer. And that might mean that I'm double checking. I'm
Doing your due
fact
diligence.
checking. I'm doing my due diligence. I'm not
Verify
just
and validate.
verify and validate. Yeah. What a weird thought.
I think it makes sense. And then I'm seeing more and more. And then I think like you can start identifying what's AI generated and what's been actually proofread and modified by human. And I think this is like just to call out. When AI gives something, it's so important to validate, because one of the frustration I have with some of the AI tools that I'm using, it always agrees with me. And I'm like, can like even though like like I'm working on my prompt engineering, but can you be critical? Can you look into these aspects? So no matter how much I try to improve my question, it always come back, and even like accepting it's incorrect. It's like, you're correct. I have missed this point. So currently, I am not confident enough to completely or blindly rely on AI and just copy paste the information. And as Shane, as correctly you mentioned, as human, where we position ourselves in terms of our judgment is asking the right question. So it's not just one question, but also um, deep diving into what AI is thinking, but also the actual self assessment. Completely agree. Can't agree more. Thank you. And Jamie, like again, like AI can give us answers, and again, like sometimes it's so convincing, and then the convincing part for me, it might take me a couple of hours to read many documents, like say 5 documents, but AI can do that in minutes. But how could we improve our skills to actually understand when to challenge or when to trust and when to actually stop the conversation with AI?
That one I think deserves, Shayna, it depends, type answer here. And the part here I saw in the chat, like do you understand the domain? And understand, I think this is where, again, what is the output, the outcomes? Just like our sessions when we engage with our stakeholders, what do we need to leave with? Just because we can identify some requirements, is requirements like the goal, or are we trying to identify, a releasable piece of value? So we need the elements of that, like what is the goal here? And to where, like it's asking yourself, to Shane's point about the good questions, what am I going to do with the output? Because if the next step, if it's enough for the next step, can I trust and validate enough to move forward and kind of keep vetting it, kind of keep testing, let's move forward, versus no, this has to be solid enough for me to make a decision, or we're going to be acting on, we're going to be committing. And so to Shane's point about, you're going to have to be able to stand behind it. And so to where it's like kind of like our work, to where the amount of work you want to spend with the AI depends on the risk tolerance and the impacts of that decision that happens next. So if I'm just crafting an email and I just need an email response because I'm like, I just don't know how to say nicely, like, Abby, I love to be there in person this year. Can you just please save a space for me next year? Like, and I don't know how to say it nicely, to come off that I'm invested. I'll just do quick, and then I'll take what comes out and I'll, get good enough. I'll take it. That's good enough. Put my little flavor and then hit send to you. Versus if it gives me like, go through these documentations, I need a process to go through requirements like I'm doing now with, one team, how to help them overcome requirements challenges. I can't just take it and email it to the team. I'm going to take it. I'm going to chew it over. I'm going to think about them and needing a picture to go with it. I will need a format. I might go back to it, but I'm going to validate the content before I say, now give me a picture. Now give me an infographic. I'm going to want to feel the team's energy with it. So there's more impact there that I'm going to want to spend more time with it. And so I think that's the piece. Go ahead, Shane, chime in.
Yeah. With my own experience, using these tools is definitely accelerated. I find that on average, what used to take me 10 days now takes me 4. The first day is using the tools, getting the raw output from the AI tools. And the danger is that raw output feels good. So I could just pass that on to the next person in the value chain. But what I find I need to do is I need to spend another 3 days going through that. And Jamie, as you're saying, that critical thinking, the analysis mindset, the fact checking, do I understand the business domain that we're in? And as business analysis professionals, we've always needed to delve into that business domain. That hasn't gone away. I can use the tools to help me learn more about that business domain as well. So the crafting of the prompts, the taking of that output, the editing work that I do to then have something that I'm proud of, that I'm comfortable will do the job, and for the people further down the stream is going to accelerate their work as well. The HBR study that looked at work slop. What was happening is people were doing the one day, getting the, wow, this looks good, confidently wrong stuff, passing it on. And for people further down the value stream, that actually was resulting in lots and lots of rework. And from an overall end-to-end perspective, was slower than had we done it all manually in the quote unquote traditional way without the tools. So that time, and as the tools get better, I think that some of that time is going to shrink. They will be better and better at that first output. I'm pretty confident we're always going to need that human critical thinking of is this output going to give us the outcome that we're looking for?
Agreed. And I'm seeing, like, I'm finding it hard to keep track of all the comments and questions. It's so engaging. So keep that coming. So from my observation, like with the comments and question, I think the question I'm going to ask you guys are going to be a little relevant to what the audience are thinking. So it's a question for both. So when you think of business analysis as a profession in the future, as Michael mentioned, like maybe down like 5 to 6 years, what part of our professional identity do you think we should actually let go of or rethink or reinvent? Who would like to get started? Jamie?
I'll start on this because I'm still hearing this verbiage, especially from like non-business analysts, like people who work with business analysts. And a lot of them are in the tech space. but this idea on collect and gather requirements. I know someone even made a comment about document. And I love this idea that they're just scattered about and you can just sweep them in a dustpan and organize them and hand them over. You know, we
Mushrooms
fought
in a
like,
field.
yeah, and it was like fought like 20 years ago that we are not just documenters, note takers. Like we fought that stigma. And so I think that's the piece now where it's like, well, the data's there, just sweep it all together and you can use your magic to put them in a little Jira format so that we can start outputting them. And so like that's the part where like to me it's like let's let go of that. If technology going to do all that for us, you know, I literally uploaded a PDF process model and said write me all the Jira all the requirements you can in Jira format, let me input it. It's like 80%. And so it's like if technology can do that, don't worry about that. Worry about exactly as Shane mentioned, like, okay, now they've got the 80%. I need to spend time on the 20% missing. Where are the pieces where my stakeholders were unsure? Did I hear hesitancy? My note taker can find that, but it's up for me to get you comfortable, Abby, and say, like, okay, I don't think you told me the full story here. Or is there a part missing we didn't cover in a conversation? Like in my note takers, when I have the AI, I changed the template and said, all my meetings, put in their assessment of what questions were not asked during our discussion. Don't tell me what was discussed. Tell me what was not discussed in our session. And so I think that's the part where like to let go, it's acknowledge those things that technology can help you with and be like, great, that's the technology box. We just keep shoving more in there. But I don't know about you, Shane, but I still have lots of work that needs to be done that I'm not freeing up. I'm not getting rid of 20% of my job. I'm freeing up 20% capacity to do the things I'm supposed to be focused on. And I think that's to me, like I say, we'll just leave it at requirements, but like I say, some of that pieces of pulling out some requirements and kind of documenting and tracing them. I think that piece, you don't have to give up requirements. Trust me, I'm a requirements nerd, still have my spreadsheets. Don't make me get rid of them, but it's that next step, that piece that technology isn't covering. I don't know, Shane, I think you're a little agreements on here, but I know you always have such great perspective.
Yep, maybe it's not the nature, the way that artifact is produced is going to be different. It'll be a spec.md file. It won't even be a list of Jira tickets. That's great. But that human interaction, the recognizing, Jamie, as you say, when the stakeholder is not really sure, but they don't want to appear unsure. Maybe they have actually used an AI tool to give them the answer. It's the intuition, it's the empathy, it is so much around the human skills there. The other side of it, though, is also particularly in analysis and requirements for high technology products, for software intensive products, we can shift today. We've always had prototyping as a technique. It's been one of our requirements techniques from time immemorial. We'll do paper prototypes and post-it notes and mock-ups and so forth. Well, now we can do that and we can build to learn. I can sit down in a workshop with stakeholders, and as long as we've got to the point where we can say with confidence that this business problem warrants a technology solution versus a process change solution. If we got to that point, I can then say, okay, let's figure out what this thing could look like. And in minutes, I can have a working prototype. It's not production ready by any means, but it's a lot closer than it used to be. And we can get into, I'm not going to say vibe coding, but a really interesting interaction with the tool and the stakeholders. And it has a challenging impact on what is a team. What are the skills that we need? And place commercial here. My talk is the broken comb is the metaphor. We went from I-shaped skills to T-shaped skills to the letter pi, Greek letter pi. Well, now it's the broken comb. How wide and how deep are your skill sets? And there's my broken comb.
I think it's such an interesting conversation, and I'm just looking at the time. I'm like, I have more questions, so I'm definitely going to like attend both of your 4-bar session, because I know that like everything that we are talking is directly related to the topic that you would be presenting at 4-bar. But I feel like this is a never-ending conversation, and I'm in this mix, like, because like everything that we have been talking about, it's about as human, like improving our human skill, the transferable skill, and the judgment, improving on the decision making. And it's not about, and I don't want to ask the question about AI replacing humans at all, because I don't personally believe it's that. It's about like coexisting together, and how are we going to leverage what AI is doing the best, like note taking, like summarizing things and rewording things if required, but actually like how could we uplift our skills as business analysts to make sure that we are asking the right questions and making the assessment. So it's basically AI is an information provider, not a decision maker. The decision still stays with the human side of it. But I have one question, and it's little to a different side, but I couldn't stop asking you guys. And I feel like lots of people in this audience, they are either like in the beginning of their career, or they are looking for a job. And I've been doing a lot of lecturing, and I have been attending a lot of sessions in the university. And these questions, I've been asked this question all the time, and I'm going to get your help for my answer in the future. So I want to talk about graduates and the people who are just entering the industry. And if AI is trying to do some of the work that's traditionally given to the people who are at the beginning of the career, like interns and grads, how can the people who actually have less experience, or they are not in the position to make judgment or decision immediately because they are just starting their career and learning from the industry, and AI is already taking their documentation, note taking, and all the initial thing that they get started, how can they set themselves differently, and how can they set themselves for success in terms of finding a job placement?
I'll put it on here is I'm still a big fan of learning. And so showing that learning and actually using your unbiased approach to share that that is something your organization wants. Answering the challenges with the same minds that created them, you're going to get the same responses. And so, demonstrating your learning. And so that's why I'm a big fan. I'll shout out to go get the ECBA. Know what the skill sets are that a business analyst are, and walk into an organization and show them the certificate and ask for the experience. You know what needs to be done. Will you give me the experience? And I'm coming in because I'm going to be fresh, and I'm going to ask the good questions no one's asking, because I don't know what should or shouldn't be done. I'm going to come in with a fresh perspective. Demonstrate how fast and quick you love learning and your curiosity piece. That, in that interview, like you say, show genuine curiosity. I love that someone termed that, be really interested. Don't make it about yourself. Show them in that interview, I am interested in this industry and this organization. It's different. I'm wondering, I'm not sure how to apply the knowledge I already have to this group, but I'm looking to figure out, what are you trying to achieve and why are you doing that? And that is the role that I can come in and fill while others are so busy doing it, that I come in to like start seeing those dots. And I think that's one of the things to where Do you use AI? Like you say, don't let AI be the challenge. Use AI, go on Perplexity and say, what should I know about the healthcare industry, never having worked in it before, and the business analysis role? Walk in and say, I heard there was, this is some of the concerns with healthcare and, data protection and privacy and, human interaction with technology. What does that mean to your group? And show in with that genuine interest. That is the piece that's going to separate you from someone says, well, I did a class here, there. Don't talk to me what you've done. Talk to me about what you're excited to do and what you're looking at to learn it. So that's, to me, the part, because the hardest part is, Abby, you got to figure out what you like doing. If I sit down with Shane, we get excited. We love talking about this. But then if he says, let's talk about this project and getting this into implementation, I'm like, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee because I'm like, oh, that's like work and like following tasks. And now I'm bored. I'm like, I don't work in the box. Let's talk outside the box, Shane. That's the fun stuff. Recognize that and then use that in your search. Use that in your alignment. That, I think that's almost like it's your superpower and your kryptonite. You have to think about what kind of work do you like doing and seek out organizations that might allow you to do that. But now here, Shane, don't you love it? You have to be a good business analyst to even think about like what career you want in business analysis. Oh, what a concept, right?
Yeah. I honestly feel that the competencies of business analysis, the curiosity, the Chapter 9 competencies, the human skills, Chapter 9 of the Babok, for those that is one of the shortest chapters, but it's one of the deepest and most important because it's about the underlying competencies. Those are the things that we need to bring into our education systems, because people coming into the workforce, and a few folks on the chat have made the point that it's not just business analysis challenging this. It's happening with every profession. The entry point has actually lifted quite significantly. We used to come out of our formal education and go into what was effectively a sort of an apprenticeship model. You would, in the law firm, you would be the lackey who would have to go and look stuff up. Well, now, no, that role has disappeared. That doesn't mean we don't need junior lawyers. But they're not going to be doing the lackey work. We've got tools to do that. So we've got to think about how will we link, how will we, in our career growth and in our education systems, graduate people who have got those Chapter 9 skills at the top. The human critical thinking, the empathy, the interaction, because those are going to be the things where the human in the system makes the difference. So, Skills Group is an education provider. I promise you, this is a thing we are considering and exploring with the programs that we've got that are aimed at early career folks and school leavers and so forth. So and there's, as a society, we've still got a way to go to figure this out. As an industry, we've got a way to go to figure this out, because there is this gap now of somebody coming in is going to have to start here, whereas we used to start them here. We've got to get them through that quicker. And exactly how we do it, there's going to be lots of experiments. We need to do lots of experiments and lots of learning to figure this out. And it is a real challenge.
And Nobby, I'll throw in here one quick comment just to add in here. Same thing, be a good business analyst and do some research on the groups, because a mature financial or insurance regulated organization, they're going to rely on some of these tried and tested and true methods of what, like you say, business analysis has been for many people, and it's going to still continue. They're not going to change overnight. Now, if it's technology is flying, an entrepreneur type, a startup, a very small business, they might be maximizing and looking for other skill sets. So even that thing there, like you say to Shane, like the Babok guide is not just meant to hold up your second monitor. It has structures and stuff in it that you just got to look at your organizations, the places you're looking at, the places that excite you, look at their missions and visions. And then look at them as an organization. What's their maturity? Do a little business and capability analysis. And I think the best selling point is if you know what they're doing, do you know where you can add the value? What might they need help with? And so technology, like you say, will definitely change the roles. However, it's also dependent. It depends on which type of industry and which type of market and which type of place of the world and what their view is on, remember, defining needs, recommending solutions, and delivering value. So if you see how they do that, look where you can be part of that solution. And that is how you carve out your BA role of tomorrow.
I think that makes total sense. And I think like the common theme from both of your answers is being curious and seeking for answers. And I think that's something like as business analysis professional, and I'm someone who thinks your title doesn't have to be business analyst to gain the business analysis skill. So that's what I tell to everybody. So I think it's so important to be curious and understand like where you can add value. And as Jamie, you mentioned, it differs from what your interests are and which domain that you want to focus on. So not blindly and leveraging AI to actually help you define that for you. So you actually get going. And Shane, I really like the way that you put on to like, we are not like the people who are starting at the beginning of their career. They're not starting from the scratch. Like now they have the AI to actually uplift their ability, like long time back. If you want to know about something, mostly it's just online search engine results that you rely on. But now AI is more advanced in giving you all the information in a more easier way to digest as well. So use that as a platform and a stepping stone before you get into the industry. So it's basically leveraging AI in this world. I only have 15 minutes, which is unfair. But if I'm thinking it's unfair, I'm sure the audience are going to think the same as well. And I want to give some opportunity for them for their question. So I'm going crazy on the chat. So if you guys have any questions that you want to ask from Jamie or Shane, please put it on the comment and we can discuss as a team. So any questions?
There's one there asking about what do we think about AI agents in business analysis? Well, agents are just ways of implementing the tools. And an agent poorly directed is going to be really efficient at giving you the wrong answers. An agent well guided is going to support you effectively. So it comes down to the design of the agent. And that is a business analysis activity.
It is. The agents justify BAs, and using an agent will help you demonstrate your own value. Because again, I'm going to just tie it back to, I do so much productivity. It's just the daily productivity work of AI. Like you said, it goes faster, but it's not that I created an agent. That's the good thing. It's I have an agent doing some of my daily task work so that I can focus on the areas I need to be on. So it's more like, that's why I say I get excited about agents because they give me more time to be doing the most important work. And I think that's a question like for all of us BAs is this is a great time where, as Shane pointed out, like, what are our processes, not just the people, what's the processes you're doing? Look at your day-to-day activities and think about where AI might be able to do some of that work or enable or make it more efficient, more effective. so that you can do your highest value activities. What is it that only Shane can do? Shane should be spending his time on that. Whether he outsources the work to a person or a technology, well, that's just a matter of programming, But if Shane's not going to outsource it to someone, or he can't describe it, he can't get it out of him, Shane needs to have time to do that intellectual work, to do that subject matter expertise area. And so that's where, to me, agents that, like you said, Shane, they're going to be fact. They already are fact for a lot of people, but they are one more tool in the toolbox. So the more tools you have, the more options you have to solve other problems.
Yeah, interesting. I have one more interesting question. And okay, I think I missed it. Okay, so the question is about they have come across few organizations or team moving to AI first mindset. Interesting. So what's your opinion about that approach? Shane, you want to get started?
Well, what do we mean by AI first? Of course, so it's an it depends, but if I think about it in the workplace at the moment, because these tools can accelerate us, it's a legitimate question. When I'm faced with a problem, when I'm faced with a business challenge, is this something that I can use an AI tool to help me and accelerate me getting to the answer? If it is, use the tool to start with. If it is unclear at this point what the real problem, the real question is, then I need to do some of that human critical thinking to analysis, figure out what the real question to ask is, and that's probably going to take a conversation. Then use the tools. So the default behavior of I've got the tools at my fingertips, let's use them where they are appropriate. This is quite different to token max. Just use the tools every single time. And one of the most stupid metrics that I've seen organizations starting to use is how many tokens are people using.
I'll put in this. How about like the old CRM and ERP, customer relationship management, enterprise resource planning tools, where an organization, let's talk from their level, they bought a tool and they thought it would solve all their problems. So they buy a vendor, implement it. And like, I see you both nodding already, like, yeah. Like the tool didn't solve our problem. Okay. Like just buying another app isn't. And I think when I heard like the AI focus first, AI turning it on or making people use it isn't going to solve all problems instantly. And so I think it's that same manner. But now if you're smiling and nodding about this, you see that we didn't define processes well. We didn't do change management work. We didn't understand what, issues exist today. We didn't understand what opportunities a tool, can leverage. Like I say, I'm a big fan of always pulling out how many of you went to SharePoint and OneDrive, because it'll organize and knowledge management like crazy. And it looks like you just uploaded your entire shared drives online. And now if you're using folders, you're using SharePoint wrong. Okay. That's how it's set. So that's the challenge where I watch is people, they get distracted by a shiny object and think it's a solution versus having that feature of a tool. Like Shane said it perfectly. Use the tools to do the work. That's what you want. You want enabled professionals. So we want to have the right toolbox. Thinking that it is the solution for what you're doing, that often misses the mark, because how many of our organizations are not technology organizations? They are, like you say, banking, marketing, customer service. We use technology to deliver those services. And I think when we miss out on that by pushing, well, we have AI. AI doesn't do the service. It can enable the delivery of those services. It's not the service we provide. And I think really asking that question can really help you see how to align to those outcomes, as you mentioned, versus just we need output.
I agree. Again, I would love to talk more, but we are at time, and I think it's unfortunately our time to wrap our conversation. And I think, and when I was starting to brainstorm about the theme and the topic for the panel discussion, I was pretty thrilled because these are the conversation that we want to have, and these are the knowledge that we want to share with our wider community, so we understand and where we stand and what are the things that set us apart. And again, like in today's conversation, like I feel like it shows us that it won't simply be the technology we know how to use, but it will be the skills that we develop, the judgment that we bring to the table, and the professional identity that we choose to build that actually set us apart. And perhaps that's exactly why the future actually needs more than the AI. So it's a AI is always going to be there, but it's something that how could we be different but still use so it makes our life easier. But how could we build our career, the knowledge, our performance, the value that we provide as individual and organization on top of what AI can offer? It's been a pleasure to have you both. And I'm so great to see. I think at one point we had around 183 audience today. Very pleased. And it's such a wonderful discussion. And I just want to remind everybody this is just a beginning. So, this is, we call it internally, it's a showcase for FOBA because this is just a very, like a half an hour, 1 hour glimpse on what we are going to talk in FOBA in October. And Jamie, Shane, Terry, and we have amazing speaker lined up. So if you're in Australia, if you're in New Zealand, you have in-person conferences happening. But in case if you can't make it, we also have the online session. And the good thing is the online sessions are recorded and it's available for you to have a look. So in case if you have a personal or an office commitment, you don't have to worry. We still have all the details will be shared with you. So again, I want to remind you guys, I hope you can see my screen. You can scan the QR code and you can get all the details that you need. And I'm sure there are more curious questions and conversations. So what I'm going to do, if Shane, Jimmy, if you guys are okay, I will make a post on LinkedIn and tag both of you. So if there are any other curious questions and conversation, we can take it from there. So that's one way we can engage. But again, the most important part, please don't miss out the amazing speaker lineup across all the cities and online in October. Thank you so much, everybody, for today. And I'm so much looking forward to have more thoughtful conversation like this in October. Have a lovely afternoon. Thank you.
Aloha,
Thanks
everyone.
so much for coming, folks. Abby, thank you for being the hostess with the mostest.
Appreciate it. My pleasure.